after the deadly shooting of 2 Israeli embassy staffers last night at the nation's capital. The victims were leaving an event held by the American Jewish Committee. We do have the latest photo.
That really looks bad. That really, really, really looks bad. If it's an American Jewish event and it's not something that is explicitly for Israel, this looks very, very not good.
Of those victims. Metropolitan Police Department officials identifying the suspect as 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez of Chicago. Fox News' Gary Baumgarten joining us now to report on the latest.
Tolerate anti-Semitism.
Law enforcement in Washington, D.C. say 2 staff members of the...
I mean, you heard her say it.
Semitism. Tolerate anti-Semitism.
Was this from the Twitch headquarters or from Chicago? Sorry, did they explain that? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Law enforcement in Washington, D.C. say 2 staff members of the Israeli embassy are dead after being shot while leaving an event Wednesday night at the Capitol Jewish Museum.
The suspect was observed pacing back and forth outside of the museum. He approached a group of 4 people, produced a handgun, and opened fire.
We heard between 10 to 15 gunshots, roughly.
Wow.
Tragically, the male and female victims were a couple preparing to be engaged.
Jesus.
The young man purchased a ring this week with the intention of proposing to his girlfriend.
After the attack, witnesses in the museum saw a man run in before tensions flared.
The security guard happened to let this guy in. I guess they were thinking that he was a victim. He was in shock. And, some of the people at the event brought him water.
Yeah, I handed him water. I've never interacted with a murderer before.
He's like, somebody called cops, bring the cops in. When the cops actually came in, he said, I did this. He said, sir, I'm unarmed. He put his hands up. He grabbed a red kufi out of his pocket and started the Free Palestine chants.
Once in handcuffs, police say the suspect told them where he stashed the gun, and they were able to recover it.
There is no active threat in our community.
In a post to Truth Social, President Donald Trump wrote in part, quote, hatred and radicalism have no place in the USA. This deadly shooting comes in the wake of increasing Israeli military operations across the Gaza Strip as IDF forces try to eliminate Hamas militants and free remaining hostages. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
All right, Gary, thank you so much for that detailed report. Again, taking you back out to the nation's capital, outside of that Israeli embassy. Just tragic news where 2 staff members of the Israeli embassy were killed. We do want to continue to follow the very latest developments. Now checking in with our content partners over at Fox 35 Orlando as they speak with Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader.
Let's see what they say.
Has left 2 Israeli embassy.
9 o'clock last night, there was an event at the the Capitol Jewish Museum, which is actually just a few.
What the fuck? There were 12-year-olds on Xbox Live that had better audio than that. What the hell is this?
Blocks away from the U.S. Capitol building. This couple walking out of that museum was gunned down. Now, whether they were specifically targeted, it's not clear, but as the gunman was taken into custody, the suspected gunman, he was yelling, "Free, free Palestine," and police say that that chant continued even after he was taken into custody. So, the motive...
If the people that are big advocates of Palestine don't pretty much unequivocally condemn this in every single way, and if they run even a 1% of defense for this, this will, I think, massively shift the sentiment in the public against their movement in a way that I think is irreparable. I do. This will, it will end the movement. Yeah, exactly. They're not condoning it. That's not enough.
seems pretty evident there. Whether these individuals themselves were specifically targeted beyond their association, that the fact that they were coming out
are already defending and supporting it. I'll look at the Reddit stuff after this
museum isn't entirely clear. We're still in early stages here, but just given what's going on right now with Israel and Gaza and the protests we've seen, the anti-Israel protests we've seen around the country, this obviously is getting a lot of attention around the globe. And what we're hearing from Israel right now is that they're stepping up security at their facilities around the world in response to what happened here in Washington last night.
Yeah, just a young couple, heartbreaking to see their photos. We understand that apparently they were about to get engaged, so we do understand that they were a couple. What do we know about the alleged shooter, Doug? I heard from Chicago. Is that right?
That's correct. That's what police are telling us. 30 years old.
Senator Omar refused to give a statement on it today. I mean, I've been trying to say this shit was bad. I've tried to say that these people are absolute poison to their movement, and they're going to make it worse. I've tried so hard, guys. I've tried so much. But in the end, it didn't even matter, and it happened anyway. Wow.
Arrested here, and
it's a false flag. 2 people are still dead. They're still dead. That doesn't matter. What matters is how people are reacting to it.
They say that he was spotted kind of pacing outside the museum, but they don't have prior interactions with him that we know of. So, that aspect of this still remains something of a mystery.
And Doug, moving over to the big, beautiful bill, we've been talking a lot about that.
Is this the
lawmakers have been working really around the
story, just tragic news. And then we are learning more about the victims as I transition the screen. If you're just now tuning in, showing you those 2 victims, again, learning that they were engaged to be married. The D.C. shooting where 2 staff members of the Israeli embassy.
This is also the worst optics, where you have some fat neckbeard that goes out and shoots 2 young, attractive people that are getting engaged. It looks really bad. It does. This is the same, and I guarantee you, you're not going to see girls simping for this guy the same way they did for Luigi. I told you.
Were killed. Let's check in now with our content partners over at Fox 5 DC, as they do have team coverage this morning.
Appreciate you joining us here on Fox 5 at 6 a.m. Also streaming on Fox Local. And we start this morning with the Fox 5 News alert: a deadly double shooting in the district.
The victims, 2 staff members of the Israeli embassy. The pair were gunned down last night while leaving an event at a Jewish museum in Northwest D.C.
We have live team coverage for you this morning. Stephanie Ramirez has been getting reaction from the Jewish community in D.C., including people who were at the museum as the shooting unfolded.
Well, we begin with Makia in our newsroom with the latest on that investigation. Makia.
Good morning, Steve, Marissa. The shooting happened around 9 o'clock last night outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum along 3rd and F Streets. And this morning, the Embassy of Israel to the U.S. identified the victims as Yaron and Sarah. The embassy shared this image of the couple, saying the embassy is heartbroken by their murders. Well, now to video that you first saw here on Fox 5 of the person believed to be the suspect. Police identifying him as 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez from Chicago. In that video, he can be heard yelling, "Free, free Palestine." Authorities say Rodriguez was seen pacing outside of the museum before the shooting. He then walked inside after opening fire. He was quickly detained by event security. Now, Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, is calling this a, quote, act of targeted violence. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
It is absolutely an act of targeted violence. It's not even a question. I mean, obviously they have to investigate it, and I'm speaking as a layman, and so a police officer has a higher standard of this than I do. But yes, it's very obvious this is happening.
Has spoken with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser insisting that there's no ongoing threat.
The horrific incident is going to frighten a lot of people in our city and in our country. And I want to be clear that we will not tolerate this violence or hate in our city.
I spoke to the President of the United States multiple times tonight on behalf of the President. His prayers are with all of us, all of the Jewish community, everyone in Washington, D.C., state, local, and federal agencies, and our great U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro, who will be...
Do you think this will label the protesters as terrorists now and it'll do a crackdown? No. But I do think that it will cause this group, because this is what I'm assuming is going to happen. I am assuming that this group of people is so brain broken that they will be unable and unwilling to condemn this person who did this shooting. And even some of them will be celebrating it. And this will cause them to lose a tremendous amount of mainstream support. And I think that without that mainstream support, what's going to happen is it will galvanize the government and other types of, authoritative agencies to be more aggressive with treating them as if they're problematic groups of people, like the KKK, for example. And I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying this is the perspective that people are going to have. And it's going to normalize that behavior. They never condemned them. Yeah, exactly.
Prosecuting this case, we'll be doing everything in our power to keep all citizens safe.
Yep.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he is, quote, shocked by the, quote, horrific anti-Semitic shooting. He has stepped up security.
Like how you guys act towards Trump and how you refuse to admit he does anything wrong. You're celebrating this horrible bill. Not only is your English wrong because you don't know how to use the proper form of your, but also you are saying, you guys, you don't know what my viewpoints are. You're just basically, you're playing, actually, let's we're going to ban him just for being retarded. Oh, never mind. I can't, his message is gone. Who cares? And so anyway, yeah, there you go. But no, that has nothing to do with what I was saying. What are the chances they call for the death penalty if this guy's found guilty? I mean, I would say pretty high. Trump never condemned the Nazi that drove through a gathering in Charlottesville. What do you say on that? Are you going to say sorry? Do you want to say sorry? Uh-oh. It looks like there's no response. He's not roaching out, is he? Guys, wait, you didn't just make something up and now you're getting called out for it and you're roaching out. Reap what you sow, Trumpers. You voted for radicalization. Trump won of radicalization. Munz, come on. You don't have a single, there's nothing you're going to say. You should fact check him. Great idea. Let's fact check him. Here it is. All right, so here's the quote. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. So I was wrong? That's correct. Whenever you're talking about Trump voting for radicalization, look in the mirror.
All embassies around the world. Guys?
And reaction from last night's shooting is pouring in, as you said, from all over, many saying they didn't know what was happening.
The couple killed as they were leaving the museum after an apparent event there. Fox 5's Stephanie Ramirez live in Northwest this morning with more from the scene. Steph?
Hey guys, we're learning a little bit more about the fear and the terror that was felt last night. The calls are coming in for an active shooter at the museum. Now, obviously, this is still a very protected scene at this hour. We're some 9 hours out, but I want to show you we're not at the front of the museum.
Do you think Trump will issue a Muslim ban for the U.S.? No, this has nothing to do with Muslims. I don't even know if the guy was a Muslim. There are tons of people that are part of the Support Free Palestine movement that aren't Muslims. What does this have to do with Muslims? Nothing. It's just a guy. You know what's funny is that I bet in a Muslim country this would have had a much lower probability of happening.
It's actually down there,
like in Saudi Arabia,
traffic light, 3rd and F Streets Northwest over
highly
there.
Unlikely.
Now the 2 killed, not just embassy staffers. They were a couple with plans to get married. The Israeli embassy and Israel's foreign ministry sharing their photo on social media. The ministry also wrote that Israelis, diplomats and representatives around the world stand on the front lines of Israel's diplomatic efforts, defending the country with their very lives, and that they will not be deterred by terror. Reverberations of this shooting is being felt all across the world, with condolences and vows to stand against anti-Semitism also being shared. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser is as you heard, started speaking to this at last night's emergency news conference. Authorities also spoke about making sure to make contact with the city's Jewish institutions to make sure that they have any extra security needed this morning. Support also coming from the highest office. Israel's ambassador said he spoke with President Donald Trump last night on the phone. Here is some more from the ambassador.
The couple that was gunned down tonight in the name of Free Palestine. It's a young couple about to be engaged. The young man purchased a ring this week with the intention of proposing to his girlfriend next week in Jerusalem. They were a beautiful couple who came to enjoy an evening in Washington's Cultural Center.
Not anymore.
I will say this.
Yep.
We are a resilient people. The people of Israel are resilient people, and the people of the United States of America are resilient people. Together we won't be afraid. Together we'll stand, and we're going to overcome moral depravity of people who think that they're going to achieve political gains through murder.
Guys, our crew on scene last night spoke with...
So we have another person, and this is another individual in Chad, and I just want you guys to see these kinds of people, right? You should have heard the words shared by a Republican representative on Fox News reacting to this in his anti-Arab and Islamophobic rhetoric. Do you completely and fully condemn this shooting and say that the person was an awful person? Like, do you completely condemn it and say that, you know, shooting these people was completely unjustified and it was awful? Of course. Okay, so then we're in agreement. I'm sure somebody had a bad take on it. Yeah, you're totally right. There's probably somebody out there that's an asshole that's using this to push some xenophobic, racist rhetoric. Yeah, sure, of course. That's bad.
With witnesses, many of them in disbelief that this happened, especially because of what this event was about. We'll have more of that in about 30 minutes. Guys.
Well, all right,
Stephanie, thank you. We're going to stay on.
And so there it is. And let's see here. Take the politics out of it. It was just two innocent human beings in reality. You know what I mean? I think most people know what you mean.